You have said Justin Trudeau is a failed leader who is bad for Canada. You are keeping them in power despite your concerns, despite saying something like that. Are you just not forcing an election because you don't think you can win?
Welcome back to Moose on the Loose. My name's David. Today we've got Vasi Kapellos, who does an interview with Jagmeet. She grills him. This is just hilarious. He's like a frightened squirrel without a nut. Jagmeet waited to the absolute last minute to approve the budget, Chrystia Freeland, Justin Trudeau's budget for 2024. He keeps saying he held off because, I want to check things out. I want to do this. He's doing a thing where he's trying to seem like the power player and he's the one in control. And no one's buying it, Jagmeet. No one, not one person is buying it, but that's what he's trying to do. That's why he pushed it off, because he can. It's a power move to show he has some sort of power or control. Vasi Kapellos absolutely grills him. This is quite entertaining.
NDP leader Jagmeet Singh there, ending speculation and officially announcing that his party will support the federal budget, the first vote on which is expected later today. It's an announcement the leader made on the same day the Canada Dental Care Plan officially launched, as you heard in my interview with Minister Holland a few moments ago, a key pillar of the NDP's supply and confidence agreement with the Liberals. Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the NDP, is here live in studio now to talk more about that. Hi, Mr. Singh. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I appreciate you making the time. Why did you wait 2 weeks to say you support the budget when nothing tangibly changed in the interim?
Well, first off, we wanted to show that we were serious about looking at the budget to make sure what we had fought for was actually there. We want to confirm the things that we secured in the budget, like the school food program, the pharmacare, the dental care, and diabetes medication and device coverage, as well as the Renters Protection Fund. So when we were briefed about it, when we read it, we wanted to make sure that what we had fought for was actually showing up in the budget, and we were confident that that's there. Then we were concerned about certain things, and I raised those concerns, the disability benefit not being enough. And really, that clawbacks were particularly concerning to us. It could put a person living with disabilities in a worse off position, potentially, and that's completely wrong. And I raised that with the Prime Minister directly, and I said, this is wrong and this can't happen. And there was an openness to addressing those concerns. In addition, I raised concerns about the Jordan's principle not being met. And that's another area where I'm really concerned about. The federal government made a commitment that if an Indigenous child needs care, that the care should be delivered first, jurisdiction worked out afterwards. Well, the federal government's missing that requirement almost 70% of the time, which is a very serious concern. So I raised that with the Prime Minister, and I heard some openness to addressing that. After hearing those concerns being addressed, or an openness to addressing them, I've said now we are prepared to support.
So your support is essentially contingent on an openness from the government? Like, yeah. There are lots of things the government has appeared open to which it has not followed through on. Particularly, let's take the example of the disability benefit. It is horrifyingly low, according to advocates, right? $200 a month. When they set expectations that it would bring people out of poverty, how can you support a budget that does that just because the Prime Minister sounds open to addressing a concern?
Well, let's be clear. We agree that with the advocates, if this was an NDP government, we wouldn't allow for this to happen. We would never done this. This is what the Liberals have done. And we are going to continue to attack them, put pressure on them to improve this. They have.
Jagmeet, you're not getting any support by saying like, we had openness, so we'll support him. But if this was NDP, we would have done it way better, and he's terrible. Like, there's no support for that, man. Man up, put your golden pension on the line, and then you'll actually get some supporters. You won't get it by supporting Trudeau's terrible policies. This is not how this works.
Not shown a willingness to improve the amount. We think they're wrong. And so we'll continue to mount pressure on them. We'll continue to raise our concerns. We'll continue to fight back. Often with this government, what we've seen is right now, dental care is a great example. It's being rolled out right now. There were many times on this journey where the Liberals said no. They voted against it twice in the past. They said it couldn't happen. They couldn't deliver it. Now seniors are receiving this care. This is testament to New Democrats persevering, fighting for people, and delivering.
You're delivering for people who are 87 years or older, who don't have teeth. This is who the dental program is for. This is embarrassing.
Clearly, with the disability benefit, we fought for that. No, the Liberals have failed. They haven't delivered what was expected. Like you put it, the advocates have said this is not what we wanted. And on top of that, the advocates said their criteria in terms of eligibility said, please, at a minimum, don't make it based on the disability tax credit. And that's exactly what the Liberals did. So we're concerned about that. We think that's a big problem. And we've addressed that. I've raised that directly with the Prime Minister, and I expect to see solutions.
But you have something available to you that few others do. You have the power to actually sway the vote. The Conservatives and the Bloc were going to vote against. If you added your party's votes to that, the budget would be defeated, the government would go down, and that would be in parallel to how you describe this government. You have said Justin Trudeau is a failed leader who is bad for Canada, and yet you're not willing to actually vote in that manner. You are keeping them in power despite your concerns, despite saying something like that.
Savage.
Well, the facts are Canadians chose him as Prime Minister. What we're doing is using our power to get the most we can for people. And if we voted against the budget, it would be voting against free birth control for women, free diabetes medication and devices, the child care, the dental care, the Renters Protection Fund, the protection for kids or the support for kids in school to get a nutritious meal. Those are things that we're going to support. We fought for those. We want those to move forward. Pierre Poilievre is against those things. He said right off the top he would be removing the dental care program for seniors, despite having dental care paid for with a publicly funded program for most of his adult life. He would take away the diabetes medication and the devices coverage, which we know is not only going to improve the life of people, save them money, but improve our healthcare system. So that's the difference between us and the Conservatives. We want this to move ahead, but we've raised some concerns and we're going to fight to make sure that those are addressed.
I wonder if Jagmeet's long plan here, whether it's a good plan, it's probably a terrible plan, but I think what his long plan is to have some sort of power and then say, look, these are the things we did, and then they can lean back on that in a year or 2 years. I don't think he wants his golden pension. He'll do anything to get it. But he's a power-hungry guy himself, and he wants the big paycheck, and he wants that feeling of power of being prime minister. He's probably going to use that as something to lean on for years and say, whoa, we brought in, we were the ones who pushed for dental, and we were the ones who pushed for this and that. This plan's not going to work, Jagmeet. People just think of you as the one who propped up Trudeau, who caused all the suffering to the people of Canada. And maybe his idea is that 5 years down the road, people will forget about this. I don't buy it.
Reconcile telling Canadians on one hand, Justin Trudeau is a failed leader. That's your words. A failed leader who is bad for Canada. And on the other hand, essentially just telling them right now, Pierre Poilievre, I think would be worse. So I'm going to just support the budget and not make sure that they get toppled.
Well, that's not the frame at all. What I'm putting forward is that on their own, the Liberals would have done none of this. They wouldn't have done these things. They are absolutely failed in terms of what they've achieved in the past number of years. We have forced them to do in 2 years significant things for people. The pharmacare, the childcare legislation, the dental care, these are things we forced them to do. If we were not there, they wouldn't have done them. And we've noticed they don't have the urgency to respond to people's needs. When we talk about grocery prices, they allowed grocery prices to exceed general inflation for 2 years before then they started making announcements and still have not yet taken concrete action until we forced them to bring in things like improvements to the Competition Bureau, more strings attached or more teeth attached to legislation to give more power.
Do you think it's you that forced them or public outcry that forced them?
Oh, we absolutely forced them. There's no question about it. Their approach was, on their own, was to call the CEOs and ask them nicely to lower their prices. And then Champagne then said, come out and check out. Minister Champagne said, look at flyers, grocery flyers, prices are coming down. And then said, you know what, I actually don't know if they're coming down. That was the Liberals' approach until we forced them to bring in concrete legislation to give more protection.
I mean, even as a result, even if we take that at face value, prices are still terrible at the grocery store.
Yeah. Well, so again, the changes have come in just now, so they impact.
But you're keeping a government in power that is presiding over that. Like, you alone are responsible for keeping them in power and calling him a failed leader.
Well, I mean, I think that's not the fair way to look at this. The scenario is we're forcing them to do things they wouldn't otherwise do.
This is ridiculous, man. To say we push them to get the grocery prices to go down, the grocery prices are as high as they've ever been. They are not coming down. It's not like, oh, they're coming down next week. Prove me wrong. Groceries are extremely expensive. This guy is full of crap. That's all he's full of.
Their decisions are their decisions. Their failures are their failures. We're using our power to force them to do things they wouldn't otherwise do. The fact that the Liberals are failing people, that's for the Liberals to answer. If I was Prime Minister, I would take responsibility. I would own that. I'm not Prime Minister. Right now, Justin Trudeau is. And if he fails to bring in the sufficient amount for disability benefits for those people, he is failing those people. I'm saying that it should be much higher, and I would make it higher if I was in power.
And look,
One thing to note here too is if the grocery prices do drop, it's because there's the ban Loblaws thing that's going on now. It's for the month of May. It started now. It's May. Maybe it's the steal from Loblaws on whatever, May 12th. Like between the ban Loblaws and steal from Loblaws, maybe that actually drops the grocery prices. But it's not Jagmeet saying, calling up Galen Weston's like, hey buddy, hey Galen, how's it going? Can you maybe drop the price of eggs like $1? Like that's not happening. That's not... This guy's unbelievable. He thinks he has any sway over these multi-billion-dollar corporations' prices.
I understand that those questions on their policies should be directed at them. And believe me, they get those questions for sure.
Of course.
But in the case, for example, of the disability benefit, you had 2 weeks. What does it say that you weren't able to force any of those changes? And ultimately, if you don't, what is the effectiveness of the agreement that you have in place? He's a failed leader, according to you. He's not doing the things that you wanted on for the most vulnerable Canadians. Like, what's the point?
It shows that he's out of touch. It's evidence that the
Doesn't
Liberals...
it show that you are too?
No, it shows the Liberals are out of touch because it is the Liberals that are in power. The Liberals are the ones that are calling the shots. We're using our 25 MPs. Liberals have far more MPs. They're in power. They won the election. We are forcing them to do things they wouldn't otherwise do. We brought in dental care. We brought in pharmacare. We're making people's lives better with the power that we have. The Liberals don't believe that they can actually make people's lives better. They continue to act as if they don't have the power to change things. They want to just cruise by. They have no urgency. We're forcing them to do things. There'll come a time when there's an election. And I'll put to Canadians, look at how out of touch Justin Trudeau was as Prime Minister, how disconnected he was from the struggles you're going through. We fought and forced them to do things that made your life better, but give us the opportunity to be in power and imagine what we could do together.
I think his play is not this election. He knows he's not going to win this. The Conservatives are going to win. His play is for 5 years down the road is what he's thinking. I think he is hoping to hold on as the leader of the NDP, and then he can go for prime minister 4 years down the road. To get there, he wants to make sure to secure his golden pension because he's a greedy crook. And one thing to note here, this is a guy whose brother is a lobbyist for Loblaws. The optics of this man, just the optics. It's like, come on. Nobody takes you at face value.
I have to ask you the blunt political question. I just have time for one more,
Sure.
which is that people will say you're not willing to take the step of voting against them or forcing an election because you'd lose. And you'd lose big in the next election. I looked at 3 separate polls. Angus Reid had you at 19%, Abacus at 17%, Nanos at 16%. Your fundraising is $6.8 million compared to $35 million for the Conservatives, $15.6 million to the Liberals. Are you just not forcing an election because you don't think you can win?
We're going to have an election, and I'm ready to run as Prime Minister for this country. Until then, I'm going to squeeze as much as I can from this government to make sure people get relief.
But then could be
I want
now.
to see the job. I want to see the job done for the dental care. I want to see it rolled out. I want to see seniors to get it. I want to see them start accessing the program, and then people can make a choice. Do they want to keep the dental care program or not? Once they see the benefits of it, I want people to make an informed choice. Then Pierre Poilievre will take it away from you. I want to keep it and expand it. People can make a choice on it. I want to see people get diabetes, medication and devices, and free birth control. And then Canadians can choose. Do you want that to continue, or do you want Pierre Poilievre to take it away? Because we know Pierre Poilievre, what he wants to do. He wants to cut pensions. He wants to cut EI. He wants to cut dental care, pharmacare. He wants to cut all those things. I want people to have an informed decision when they make their choice.
But they could make that decision now. You could force that
It's not an informed decision.
now. You don't think any
Not
of
at
that's
all.
informed? You don't
It's
think,
not-
you don't
because
think after
people don't
9
have-
years the Canadians don't know what they're in for with this government?
People don't know the benefit of something that's not in there. Their diabetes medication is not covered right now.
But
Birth
don't you
control
think they
isn't
have a
free right now.
perception of the government right now?
No, I want people to make an informed decision around the benefit of these programs before Pierre Poilievre proposes to cut them. I want people to see, how does this improve your life? And then you can choose. If you want Pierre Poilievre to take that away, you want him to cut pensions, cut EI, and to cut these programs we fought for, people can make that choice once they see the benefit. I want to see people to actually benefit from these things and see how it changes their lives and reduces their costs, improves their health. And then people can choose what they want. They want to keep it or not.
So I read there is no chance of you being responsible for an election happening before the date that's set out.
Ultimately, we see that the Prime Minister and the Liberal government will call the election when they want. We're going to fight as hard as we can to get people as much help as possible. And Pierre Poilievre wants to cut it all.
Okay, I'm going to leave it on that note.
Yeah,
Mr. Singh,
she's
thank
not
you so much
buying
for
it,
coming to the
man.
studio. I appreciate it.
She's not buying it, dude. She can smell that bull crap from a mile away, dude. She knows you're just going to stay in there. All he wants is that golden pension. That's the first thing Canadians want to do is cut Jagmeet's golden pension. That's what we want to cut. This is just ridiculous. He knows there's a real opportunity here for him to move into the leader of the official opposition as the Liberals are getting squashed. Their likely will drop to below the NDP. He can get a pay increase, he gets his golden pension, and then he can make a push for 4 years later to try to become prime minister and then say, well, we were the ones who brought in diabetes. We're the one brought in the blah, 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 all that. There's not one thing that he proposes valuable to me. I'm sure those are valuable to some people. The diabetes medication, I think, is a really good one. In general, his platform, everything he stands for, and his character is just weak. He's just a weak guy. He doesn't command leadership. He doesn't command strength. He doesn't command the room or confidence that he would do good for Canada. We know he would do good for himself because that's what he's doing right now. So jumping over onto X here, boycott Loblaw, speak of the devil here, real superstore, all this stuff, no frills. For the month of May, if the prices drop, it's because of this. And speaking of Jagmeet, might as well play this clip.
Is this a situation where you support the budget today, but say tomorrow or sometime in the near future, just to show that you're really serious, you can still pull out of the deal?
Well, what we're saying is we're going to be voting in favor of the budget, but we have serious concerns and we're going to continue to make sure this government is held to account. I've received some openness to fixing the problems that I've outlined. And so I want to make sure the government follows through on those things. So we'll be holding this government to account to ensure the problems that I've raised are addressed.
Let's get real. Jagmeet's doing nothing. He's doing absolutely nothing. This is hilarious from Marty up north. Is Trudeau wearing a Diagolon tie? Oh, I bet he didn't even realize it. Look at that. What is he wearing? Fergus, man. Whew. Nothing like a good pirate hat. Jumping over to my group here, we've got a few memes. A historic impact of being the first wacko speaker. Wacko, ha ha ha. I've never met a wacko before. The wackos are going out of control. This is, wow. Yeah, I mean, that's basically what's going on in Canada here. 2,000 people every 2 hours coming in. He's probably thinking about ways to axe the carbon tax. The Wacko Show. Captain Idiot, SS Canada, sinking Canada one day at a time. Yeah, sadly, yes, that's where we're at. All aboard the Wacko Express. What's wrong with this guy? Why can't he just sit normal? It's like he doesn't know what to do with his arms and his back, his legs. Like the way he walks, he's just such a goof. Like just a complete weirdo, Trudeau. Ugh. Every time I see him in that photo, it's like, ugh. Yeah, total whack job. That's where we're going to end today's episode. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about Jagmeet, his master plan. I don't think his plan's going to work. I do think he will become... I don't know if he will be the official opposition, but the NDP will, because the Liberals are getting squashed. I think they'll have a leadership change. You've already had multiple of his MPs drop out, so there's already a lack of confidence in the man himself. But let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, get notified of all my videos when they come out. I greatly appreciate all of you. Let's keep fighting the fight here, and I'll see you guys in the next one.